from Ireland. Well, I was beginning to enjoy this period of uncharacteristic reticence on behalf of Meghan Markle and her dimwit husband, Prince Harry. I suppose their PR team had convinced them that whining about how badly treated they are and how much they've suffered at a time when thousands of Ukrainian civilians are being killed, that would be in poor taste. So these two have managed to put a sock in it for a few weeks. Now, they could have used their platform to actually say something useful, to say, we've got to do more for these Ukrainian refugees, and we're donating some of our many, many millions of dollars to this benevolent cause. Hello, Audrey Forbes Hamilton. Thank you for watching. If any Ukrainian refugees came to the United States, perhaps a room could have been found for them in this 18-bedroom hacienda they have themselves in Montecito, California. Not a bit of it. Anyway, they could have encouraged others to do good, but no, if it came to actually helping others, they're not going to do that. All right, they'll morally grandstand and they'll pose as compassionate sometimes, but they feel so sorry for themselves, they've got very little feeling left for anybody else. It then came out that the Duchess of Sussex, she wanted to trademark the word archetypes, a word which has been around for thousands of years. Of course, it's Greek in origin. We already know she's got Archwell Audio. Their attempts to be these media big personalities has been a bit of a flop, and there's that they want to have this constant pity party, and they've more or less saturated the market for woe is me in the United States, a country which normally lap up that kind of thing, especially from people who are very privileged like those two. Now, I don't know about the United States, but I do know in English law, you can't copyright a real word, or usually a point of the compass or something like that, a location. If it's in conjunction with another word, then you could do. So that's why people often deliberately change the word slightly. Hello, Colleen Kenny. Like there was an internet cafe called Mices. Since there's no such word as mices, there's mouse, there's mice, but not mices. So to get it slightly wrong or put in an additional letter or something like that. And there were going to be some fearlessly frank conversations Meghan Markle was going to conduct about stereotypes, which she says hold women back. Is it that looks matter? I mean, she's someone who's certainly traded on her looks, who's paid a huge amount of attention to a carefully curated image, who's always going for hairstyling and skin treatments and buying ruinously expensive clothes. So she certainly is very superficial, and she really cares about appearance and not reality. I mean, if none of that matters, if a woman's not to be judged on her appearance, why does she waste all her time with that? Why not just wear anything? Just rock up looking like a fright. So, or that a woman has to be judged by the man in her life. And of all the 4 billion men in the world, what first attracted her to that prince? That she married that guy. I mean, come on. A man whose attitudes until he met Meghan were really the polar opposite of the ones that she espouses. They use their kid's name as part of their brand anyway, exactly, exploiting their children for monetization, when capitalizing their children, pretty revolting, don't you think? Anyway, so this has been a bit of a gaffe for them. I don't think it's going to be a huge takeoff. I mean, they did make millions from various deals, but they've not been terribly popular. Their podcast, their Netflix series and stuff like that. This is another failed attempt to relaunch themselves. You know, she wanted to make it as a Hollywood actress. She was like C-list before. Do I exaggerate? And what's she going to be now? Thinking that she'd be the most bankable name in Hollywood because she's got name recognition. But that hasn't happened. Obviously she can't act. I mean, if you see her in Suits, you'll see that while she's reciting the lines, in a sense she's not acting because she can't, because that is her. Her mannerisms, her voice, and really her personality. Someone with an enormously inflated sense of her own importance, someone who's over-opinionated. I know I am too. And what else? Very entitled, conceited, all the rest of it. Anyways, this is what Meghan had to say about what archetypes is going to do. This is how we talk about women, the words that raise our girls, and how the media reflects women back to us. But where do these stereotypes come from? And how do we keep showing up? How do they keep showing up and defining our lives? So that's the end of the quotation. Well, I mean, she's trying to live up stereotypes in many ways, and she's obviously part of the media. I mean, a public figure who complains about the media is like a sailor who complains about the sea. I mean, if you can't take the media, then just get out of the media spotlight. She's always craved the limelight, constantly hogging the limelight, giving these supposedly soul-bearing, full and frank interviews with Oprah and others. And if you find the media so unacceptable, then, you know, just don't show your face in public again. Stop releasing these videos. Stop making these statements on Facebook and Twitter and all the rest of it, and using all the social media. I know that's a sense to bypass the mainstream media, but on the other hand, that does garner more reportage. That's if those children really exist. Well, I don't doubt that. I mean, that isn't one batshit crazy conspiracy theory I'm not hearing so much, that her baby is a doll, that Archie doesn't exist, that she never gave birth and stuff like that. And they might have lied about the actual date of birth or something like that, or the actual place of birth. I know it was the United Kingdom, but was it a hospital, was it a home? But I don't doubt that Archie is real. So people finally shut up about that one. And obviously, some reportage was unflattering, and the media are often bitchy, but she knows that. Whatever else about Meghan is, she's not an imbecile, and in a free society, the free press is allowed to be mean, and she's certainly been very mean to various people. So being materialistic, I suppose that's a stereotype, and obviously there's some men who are materialistic as well. I'm not sure whatever they are, whatever the stereotypes are. There's femininity, and she's a very feminine woman. I mean, very seldom wears trousers, so often wearing high heels, wears lots of makeup, is obviously fixated with appearance. She's straight, seems to me. She's very cisgender. So yeah, she lives up to a lot of stereotypes, and that's not always wrong. I mean, stereotypes don't come ex nihilo. They exist for a reason. They're sometimes overstated. They're outdated. Not everybody conforms to that stereotype. Don't have to, but they don't come from nowhere. So she's very much defined her life by certain stereotypes, certain roles she tries to play. So it's, again, richly ironic that she, of all people, should be the one who's going to be leading the crusade against stereotyping. Anyway, things have not gone terribly well with them, with Spotify and the deals they've tried to sign. She is very narcissistic. I said the striking parallels between her and her nemesis, Donald J. Trump. You'll often find the person you detest the most is almost a mirror image of yourself. You might recognize traits you loathe in yourself in that other person, and then can project them onto the other person whilst trying to downplay, de-emphasize, and deny them in oneself. So these are the harmful stereotypes about females that Her Royal Highness is in fact perpetuating, that they can be bitchy and backstabbing, and look what she's done to her husband's family, look what she's done to the family she was born into, and indeed to her first husband. So she's a very unpleasant piece of work, and she's really taken over the mind of Prince Harry. Why is it that he's forgiven, despite his utter impenitence for all the outrageous things he used to do, punching journalists for doing what they're allowed to do, taking his photo, making racist remarks in public, wearing a swastika armband and things like that, abusing Class A drugs? How come he gets a free pass on that, despite his unrepentant attitude? The entire opposite, and I beat up myself up constantly. Well, yes, I'm full of self-recrimination. I'm not quite sure that Meghan is filled with remorse and self-loathing. Right, thank you for watching my channel. So please donate to be on PayPal, georgecallahan79@gmail.com. Toodaloo.